I feel the same way often about the product operating system discussion, right? It's not where the problems are. So the CEOs are coming to me saying, well, I have this perfect 100-step document. I need your help making everybody participate in the way they're supposed to, which is a failure. And if we could just get things done 3 times as fast, our sales teams couldn't have everything they wanted.
It turns out vomiting frameworks doesn't solve any
Right.
real issue.
They're useful, but they're useful for the first 20%, not the last 80%. And I think by definition, almost all of them have to be logically equivalent, because whichever one we use, we're still going to ship product.
Yeah. The last one I witnessed, it was a sales-led company at work for, and there was this moment, let's implement safe drop-in frameworks, but keeping exactly this before, plus adding the confusion of now I don't know what I need to do.
That's right. And it kind of assumes that we have not very smart people in the design and engineering and product groups who just need to be told what their job is, and it'll all be better. And with 1 or 2 exceptions over the last 4 decades, I've never found that to be true.
Let's go dive deeper a little bit into it, because I still struggle with this challenge, which is big B2B companies that are strongly influenced by sales. It's really hard sometimes to have these conversations towards product orientation, and there's this lack of understanding. Polls, because when you have a deal like, hey, here's 1 million contract. If we do this and that, how can we go out of these conversations?
Sure. And I obviously there's learning on both sides, but I observe that the sales team is completely not interested in learning how we do our jobs or what our processes are or how our backlogs work or what Agile is. So when we as product and engineering folks are trying to educate the sales team, we're just wasting their time and getting them frustrated, right? It's not what they care about. Right? And so the idea that we're going to educate them, we're going to sit them down, we're going to walk through our 27-step process.
It's a lost battle already.
It's not only a lost battle, but it's a waste of everybody's time. Right? There's a picture I throw up in some of my talks where it's a guy wearing all this golf outfits. He's got a golf shirt and a golf hat. He's got a bottle of beer in his hand. And I asked the audience, have you ever been stuck at a cocktail party with somebody who insisted on spending an hour telling you about golf or Dungeons and Dragons or U.S. politics, whatever it is, when you're completely not interested, right? I see that when we as product folks try to...
We are that guy.
We are that guy. We are, and we're doing it out of the goodness of our hearts because we think we're smarter and we don't understand what's happening, right? So I back off from that and I say, at a sales-led company, the thing we have to do, and it comes back to one of the themes for me, is we have to stop talking about development processes because none of the decision makers care. What we have to do is we have to start talking the language of money, where we convert the things we're doing, because they're the right things mostly, into the revenue that the company's going to get if we do those things, or the cost savings they're going to get if we do those things. And if those things we're doing are bigger in money terms than what this particular deal is going to cost us or make us, then we get to win the argument not because we're smarter, not because we have roadmaps, not because we care about architecture, but because, for instance,
we want to contribute to some quota of the sales department.
Let me give you a few examples. And the important thing here is that we end the sentence with money. Okay. So, for instance, we might say, we're doing this whole back-end re-architecture to get our reporting engine to go faster. Notice there's no money.
So
that right now we can't add any more customers because our reporting engine's maxed out and the new customers can't get the reports they're paying for, so we can't sign up new customers. And our goal next year is to sign up 25 million in new customers. So either we do this reporting acceleration work so we can add next year's 25 million in customers,
or leaving money on the table,
or we're leaving money on the table and we all lose our jobs, right? Or for instance, our design team has some brilliant ideas for how to improve our sign-up flow and activation flow for our consumer music service. Notice you didn't hear money, right? Until we say our best guess is that we could increase our sign-up rate by 6 or 8 or 10%. And every percent we increase that is $15 million on the top line of the company. So if our guess is that we can maybe find 6% improvement, that's $90 million. And by the way, the two design and engineering teams only cost us $1.5 million a year.
I don't need to know the details. I don't care about the technicalities. You just shared.
Lay out a 5x or a 20x or a 40x return. Everyone in the room says yes, and no one cares what the details are, right? So I think to sort of summarize, it falls back on us as product champions, as product leaders, to figure out how to describe the benefits that we're doing to the rest of the company instead of the features.
Which is valid for research, for technical depth, for new features.
Technical, that's hard, but we have to try, right? Research is hard until we point to some of the things we learned that turned into a lot of money, a lot of products, and a lot of success, or conversely, some real failures where we rushed something to market and no one wanted it. And we had 6 teams, we spent a year, that's 7 million euros, right? We spent 7 million euros building a product that didn't win, that didn't work, that didn't make money because we saved 6 weeks of research, right? We're talking in the language of investments here because honestly, again, in the B2B enterprise executive suite, it's really, in my view, the only language that matters.
They can understand.
That they care about.
They care.
And as a product leader, if I think I'm the smartest person in the room and I belittle everybody and make them feel stupid and show them 15 pages of roadmaps which don't answer their question, well, they either laugh at me, they fire at me, or they don't, or they ignore all my recommendations and approve something else. So as a product leader, I must be ready to do my job, which is to understand the executive team and how it works.
I love this translation to money talk. There's still a conflict that I don't know how to really solve, which is incentives. If I'm a sales guy, I really have incentives to sell. My incentive is like my paycheck will rise if this contract is signed. I don't care what I say. I don't care what we'll do. I don't care the long-term impact on my product. I care that this is a sales, is good for the company, is good for my commission. This is the incentive most organizations have in place. As in product managers, they usually don't have commissions on it. They just care about making something that business likes and users want. So how do you see this conflict in our organizational processes? Because they don't really fit.
They don't fit. And you exactly identified the issue, which is that the incentive plan for the sales reps is encouraging them to do something bad for the company, right? So if as a product leader, I understand that, I look around the table and the first person I pull aside is, let's say, the chief financial officer, the CFO. And we have a long talk about how the compensation plan for sales is leading to bad results for the company and us losing money because we're signing contracts for things we don't have. We have unhappy customers who churn, and we can't scale up our business because everything's a special case, right? And the CFO often has approval or maybe even reject authority on the sales compensation plan. So if we unpack that, if we remember people do what we pay them to do, not what we want them to do, right? So let's think about comp plans. Let's imagine that everybody on the sales force gets a 20% extra bonus for selling exactly what the product does today with no extra requirements, right? They get 50% decrease the first time they sell something that's not in the product, and the second time they're fired.
That's a good incentive.
Right? Suddenly what you discover is that salespeople who understand all this are behaving differently. Or we spread out the commissions so that they only get half on renewal. Nobody wants to do this because there's accounting issues and you might lose your salespeople. But if we paid them on renewals as much as we paid them on first sign up, there's a reason for them to care if the customers are happy, right? I mean, there's lots of ways to re-architect the compensation plan for sales. having a product manager yell at the salespeople because they're not doing what he or she wants, that's not a fix to the problem.
I love this. I hope some salespeople or C-suite is listening to us.
Sure.
Have an incentive to not sell what we don't have. And
sure. And let me say something important here. I love salespeople, and I've never been a good salesperson. I would fail as a salesperson. And in order to make money and have the company live, we must have a sales team that's really good. That said, if we pay them to do the things that force the company to fail, then we're all at fault.
You know, this is exactly my frustration, because what I see is that we don't have a product if no one is buying it. In sales are usually the best guys. We are sometimes a bit too naive, like building the right stuff and make it pretty, UX and whatever. And sales are super focused and they make the engine move, pay salaries, increase teams. So it's really frustrating because I do see a lot of value in sales team, but I know these incentives in place in the long term will shoot ourselves in the foot.
Good. Let me give you one other really quick example. You're at a company and they have one major product and it's selling really well, and everyone on the sales team is making their quota and they're getting to President's Club and they get to fly to Fiji for 3 days and whatever, right? And we introduce a second product and it doesn't sell at all. Zero. And we on the product side are trying to figure out what features we're missing. And then we go take a couple of salespeople out to lunch or buy them drinks. And here's what we learn. Everyone on the sales team can make their number, can hit their quota selling the things they already know, and no one's interested in learning about the new thing. And no matter what we build, it's going to fail. So now we go back to the incentive plan and we say, okay, you can't make quota unless you sell at least one unit of the new product. Suddenly, everybody's calling us for help and we need the deck and will you give us the demo, because the compensation system drives behavior in a way that we as product folks just don't understand.
Totally right. And how do you see, because I'm super incentivized in making my product grow, but without really talking to the customer. I don't care individually to the customer, I care like segments and whole population. So I have this issue, which is if I get to sell like 20% more or something, I'm super happy with it. But how will this cascade to success of the sales team? Just because I improve some UX, some sign-up flow, and then I get more increased revenue, I don't get a commission out of it. I don't need it, to be honest, to drive my motivation. But how we can share this success with the sales so that
you already gave me the answer, which is you made some changes to the product and we sold 20% more. Now, if I'm on the sales team, I got 20% more commission. I made 20% more money. But I assumed it was because I was a really much smarter, better sales rep than everybody else, until the product folks show me what they did that caused me to get 20% more money. Now, I don't really care about the details, but again, if we improved the sign-up flow, if we made it easier to renew, if we had better messaging, if we added a new feature, we've got to, I use the word merchandise, we've got to sell, we've got to promote to our own sales force and company that the things we're doing generate more happy customers and more money. And until we do that, the salespeople will ignore us because we're not important. It seems obvious, but nobody on the product side thinks about this.
No. We tend to think we do, and we air all these ads, but in the end, we're not really addressing the internal issues that we have inside departments. Totally right. And what do you see is the best organization? You start now, you failed a lot, you have success a lot. If you were to start from scratch, a new startup, limited money, limited human capital, how would you design an organization that you feel is aligned in all these departments?
Yeah. The first thing to remember is that we don't collect any money until we've finished a product that we can collect money on and sell. And so in the very early days, hiring a sales and marketing team may not make sense until we have something that's close enough that we can show it to people and start to sign up beta customers. I like, in the very early stages, I like somebody on the sales side who's been scrappy, who's been in a few startups, and who's more compensated in stock than in money. Because what we need to do is not close 2 deals that are off in the corner and don't make any sense. We need to understand the segments. We need to understand the customers. So, if we think of a small engineering design product team and one really, really smart strategic marketing leader, because marketing is critically important, but not marketing campaigns, marketing strategy, marketing understanding, segmentation, pricing, right? And we probably need somebody on the support side, because as soon as we get our first beta customer, it's all going to be broken. It always is. So in the very earliest bare metal startup days, I'm thinking of, 5 or 6 people on the building side and 2 people on the go-to-market side. But as soon as we hit some traction, as soon as we hit the curve and people are buying, we're going to staff up on the sales and marketing and operations side so that we can sell a lot more of what we built. So by the time we get to 50 people, I expect 15 of them are building product engineering, design, DevOps, testing, QA, whatever, and 25 of them are marketing and selling.
Totally get it. And for people that are still deciding if they should buy or not a ticket for Productized Conference 2025, last year you talked about the joy of doing a product management role. What are you going to bring us this coming year, the 2025? Just a sneak peek.
Sure. Well, this year I'm in the middle of the agenda, so I'm going to be talking about the language of money. And I have a workshop. I have an entire workshop on how, as a product leader, you can deal with the folks in the executive suite and get things done in the language of money and executives in business, instead of being all superior about knowing more technology.
I can stress how important that is. So if anyone is still deciding, I think they should definitely get a ticket just to go to your workshop and see what's coming up.
I would say
inspired, educational,
overwhelming, very practical,
challenging,
thought-provoking,
meaningful,
enthusiastic,
nice people,
innovation, and fun.
Product growth mindset.
new connections.
Join us at the coolest product management environment this October in Lisbon.